What's up, Norberg Nation? How's it going? So in today's video, we are going to be talking about a topic that a lot of drivers struggle with, and that is driving on cold tires. Now, this is a difficult video for me to do because I just never understood what I did differently on cold tires versus what I did differently on warm tires. I remember struggling with it early in my career, but once I kind of figured it out, it was something that I never really thought about again, and it just kind of came naturally as I went on through my career. But I've been getting a lot of requests to do a video on how to drive better on cold tires. A lot of people at the racetrack asking me how to drive better on cold tires. So I sat down, watched a bunch of video, and tried to figure out what is the difference between my driving style on cold tires versus warm tires at the end of the session. So after a few hours of video, I finally figured it out and figured out what it is that I do differently on cold tires versus warm tires. So in today's video, I'm gonna break that down and basically give you guys some tips to becoming a better driver on cold tires. But before we get into that, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot knowing that you guys are supporting this channel and supporting the content that I'm making for you guys. But with that being said, let's get started with today's video. So basically, the way I figured out how I drive better on cold tires versus warm tires was that I broke the corner into three parts: braking, turn in, and acceleration. By doing that, I was able to pinpoint the exact things I do differently in each of those parts of the corner. Let's go in detail of each part of that and just try and break down what I do differently on cold tires versus warm tires. So let's start with braking. That's the first thing you do for every single corner, and if you don't do this correctly, basically you're not going to be driving correctly on cold tires. So when I drive on cold tires, I realize that I brake a lot harder and a lot more aggressively as I get into the corner. Now, if you need a refresher on how to brake correctly, make sure to check out the video that I have about that topic exactly, and that'll teach you guys kind of the braking technique that I use as I go into the corner. But when I'm on cold tires, I brake much harder in the braking zones. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm just locking up to the apex, because we know that locking up to the apex does not really do a lot for your braking. It doesn't really slow you down that much. I'm braking just a lot more aggressive and then carrying the brake with that aggression all the way down to the apex. Normally when I'm braking on warm tires, I hit the brakes the hardest at the initial point of the braking zone, and then I'm slowly bleeding off of the brake pedal as I get closer to the apex. When I'm on cold tires, I'm on the brakes super aggressively all the way down to the apex. I'm basically hitting that 95% brake pressure all the way down to the apex. What that's doing is obviously allowing me to slow the cart down a lot faster than I would have been able to if I broke with the same pressure that I broke normally, and it's also generating a lot of heat in the rear tires. The best way to heat up your tires is by loading the tire, and the only way to do that correctly is not by sliding it, but by putting a lot of load into those tires. And so by braking hard and not locking up, I'm loading those rear tires while they dig into the ground to slow the go-kart down. And then I'm carrying it to the apex. So as I'm turning into the corner, I'm still braking and braking hard, allowing the tires to dig into the ground and help slow down the go-kart even faster. So now that I'm braking for the corner, I go to turn in for the corner, and again, when I'm turning in for the corner, I'm much more aggressive as well. When the front tires are cold, they're much less responsive. They don't turn as well. So you kind of have to be a little bit more aggressive with the steering wheel to get the cart to turn. So as I'm braking hard and into the corner, I'm a little bit more aggressive on the steering wheel, and I turn while I brake. That allows those front tires to dig into the ground just a little bit more, and again, generates a lot more heat in those front tires. We all know that when you turn the steering wheel, you're slowing down the go-kart, and by turning and braking, you're slowing the go-kart down even more as you enter the center of the corner. But both of these things have to be a little bit aggressive. You have to be on the brakes aggressively. That allows that heat just to get generated in those front tires, as well as allowing you to carry more speed into the corner. And also, the other thing that I do early in the session on cold tires, when I turn into the corner, I'm much more strong with my hands. As you become more aggressive on the steering wheel early in the run, you realize that the cart really wants to react to that sometimes, and so you need to be really strong on the steering wheel at that point of the corner. You've got to stop the cart from wanting to kick back. So when you go into the corner and you turn hard and the cart wants to snap a little bit, make sure you've got that extra bit of pressure on that outside hand pushing on that steering wheel, and you stop it from wanting to kick back. So be more aggressive on the steering wheel and then hold it tight so that it doesn't want to kick back on you. So now that we're starting to leave the center of the corner, we're starting to get on the throttle as we exit the corner, we want to be very, very patient on the throttle. Now this is the one part of the corner where you are not extra aggressive. Even though the tires are cold, this is a part of the corner where you can lose a lot of time by being aggressive on the throttle. When the tires are cold and you get on the gas a little bit early, the go-kart really wants to snap free. So when I'm on cold tires, I always wait a little bit longer on the exit of the corner to get on the throttle. What that's doing is allowing the go-kart just to be that extra little bit straighter on the exit of the corner and allowing the kart to just want to come off the corner a little bit straighter before I apply the throttle. It stops the kart from having too much load on that rear tire and then snapping free and losing all of that grip. As well as waiting a little bit longer to get back to the throttle, I'm also very patient on how much throttle I apply as I get off of the corner. Again, you want to be pushing the go-kart just to the limit. That's why we're going in extra hard, turning a little bit extra on the steering wheel, and then accelerating just a little bit late so that we're pushing the limit as we come off the corner. You want to be just on the edge of the back end, stepping out on the exit of the corner. By applying the throttle even smoother on colder tires, it allows you to have just that little bit more of control on the exit of the corner and allows you to keep the kart from snapping out and losing that valuable time. So the biggest driving differences that I have on cold tires versus warm tires is I brake a lot more aggressively down to the apex. I also turn a lot more aggressively as I get into the corner. And then on the exit, I'm very patient on the throttle and I work with the go-kart to try and stop it from wanting to step out on the exit of the corner. Now, a big thing that you guys have to understand about being fast on cold tires is that all of this is reliant on you attacking out of the pits. As soon as you leave the pits and you scrub your tires in a little bit, you need to be driving pretty hard going into the corners. If you want to do times early in the session that are going to be comparable to your faster laps at the end of the session, you need to be trying to carry the same amount of speed that you are at the end of the session at the beginning of the session. It sounds pretty basic, but a lot of drivers get out there and because the kart is just not super comfortable, they tend to back up the corners a little bit, they tend to drive a little bit easier and slowly build their way up to being a little bit more fast. And that's where you really need to be attacking the go-kart. Those early laps really allow you to build that heat into the tire and allows you to carry more speed throughout the whole run. So the only way to go fast on cold tires is to be attacking out of the pits. If you drive it easy, you're gonna get a much slower lap time. You have to be attacking the corner hard to get that fast lap time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope this helps you guys out. I know a lot of you guys struggle with this issue. Please let me know in the comments down below if there are any other driving techniques that you guys are confused about and need some help on. Once again, like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot knowing that you guys are supporting this channel and again, supporting the content that I'm putting out there for you guys. Finally, make sure to follow me on my Instagram, my Facebook, and my TikTok. I post a lot of awesome racing content on there as well, so make sure to follow those as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.